Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm going to be telling you all about the books that I read in the first half of March. I almost said February right there. I can't believe it's already March. But anyway, first I'm actually going to tell you about the two books that I DNF'd this month, because I actually DNF'd books this month, if you can believe that. The first book that I DNF'd this month is Empress by Shan Sa, and basically the reason being that there is no character depth in this book at all. Like, this book basically tells us the bare bones of the story without any input on what is happening from the main character's point of view at all. Like, there is no thoughts of what she thinks about any of the stuff that's happening. So, except in one part where she basically sees this chick not quite get raped, but honestly close enough. And she's basically, like, hiding, and she sees this happening, and she's sitting there getting off on it, and I'm like, dude, really? So basically, fantasize about whatever the hell you want to on your own time, but, if you see someone getting raped, or almost raped, kind of, wouldn't you have, like, other things going on in your mind, like, hey, is there some way I can help them, or something, instead of just getting off on the fact that this chick is getting raped? Like, I thought that was weird, and the fact that that's the only time we get any actual thoughts from the main character on what is happening, the rest of it is just telling the story. And even though it's in first-person point of view, it literally just says the bare bones of what's happening without any, like, feelings into it. And I was like, dude, whatever. And so halfway through this book, I was just too bored to continue. And sadly, next we have Night Watch by Sergei Lukyanenko. I was going to read this for my TBR Jar challenge of reading a translated book, and I was really looking forward to this book. I hear the movie is really, really awesome, but again, like, not enough character depth, not enough stuff happening. I was kind of just bored. So I wonder if I should actually watch the movie first and then go back to this book. The first thing that I finished in the month of March, I actually finished on the last day of February, and it was an audiobook, and that is Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. And basically this is a collection of essays dealing with, it talks about feminism and also things like race and all this other stuff, but it's kind of centered around the idea that you can be feminine and still be a feminist. You can be a stay-at-home housewife and still be a feminist, etc., etc. You don't have to be like a lot of people think that feminism has kind of a negative connotation because they think of feminists as being these, like, really militant, like, man-haters or something. And so I think that some of the essays about that specifically didn't quite gel with me, just because I am literally the kind of feminist that is the militant type. Like, I don't shave my legs, I hate makeup, I don't wear pink, I don't like dresses, like, all this other stuff that people kind of associate with, like, the negative connotation of a feminist. And so there was a lot of stuff so I think that this book would be a lot better for people who don't really know that much about feminism and are just wanting to find out more. Like, this would be a great book for my fiance to read, because I'm still trying to teach him about what feminism actually is and why it's needed and all this other stuff, etc., etc. But it was definitely a really good book. There were some very interesting essays in it, and I really recommend it. The next thing I also finished on the last day of February, and that is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. And this book is about people who can start earthquakes, and it is a very undesirable power to have, kind of like in Brandon Sanderson's books. And so for most of this book, I was just very confused. I thought, because we follow 3 different points of view, and we don't know how they're connected at all. They seem completely unconnected until about the last 100 pages of the book, and then when you figure out how they're connected, I was, like, mind blown. I was like, holy crap, this book is genius. But until that point, I was just really confused, and especially because one of the points of views is told in second person. And I kept thinking, so it says, you did this, you thought this, blah, 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 you said this, and I kept thinking, who is this you? I'm literally just confused. So that whole thing I just did not get. I don't know why N.K. Jemisin really felt the need to narrate that one point of view as second person when the others aren't like that, and it really threw me for a loop. But by the end of this book, I was like mind blown by how clever the entire thing was, and I really am looking forward to reading the second book. But another thing that I really did not get is basically, I don't know, I felt like some characters' reactions to certain things were a little bit not realistic. And so basically, for the majority of this book, we follow these two characters who are very strong in their ability to like create earthquakes and all this other stuff, and they're basically supposed to have a child together because that child would be like really strong. And basically, they know that if they have said child, they are going to just, like, that child is going to have a terrible life. But I really felt like, you know, there's no one there making sure that they have that child. They could just not. And they're not even attracted to each other, so they didn't really seem like they had a reason to sleep together and procreate, but, like, so they totally could have just resisted and just not and just said they did, or something, but somehow that just never occurred to them, and I was very confused. But overall, I really liked this book. I think I would like it a lot more on reread now that I actually get it by the end. And then the next book that I read was The Scarecrow Queen by Melinda Salisbury, and this is the third and final book in the Sin Eater's Daughter trilogy. I really, really like this trilogy, especially the first book, The Sin Eater's Daughter, and I'm going to have a series review up very soon. But I really like the way, like, I really, really love The Sin Eater's Daughter, and then I felt like the second book was kind of meh. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this one, but I ended up being very pleasantly surprised. I think that the way it tied things together was really good, and I also love the way that there are people of color and there is a lesbian married couple in this book, and it's like perfectly normal, and it's awesome. Even though they're like side characters and everything, it was just super cool to see that there's all that stuff going on in this world, because we actually see more of the world in this one than we do in like the first or the second book. So yeah, if you want to find out more about this series, look for my series review that is coming up soon. The next thing that I finished was also an audiobook, and that is Liar, Temptress, Soldier, Spy, which is a historical nonfiction about 4 different women who did notable things and went undercover during the Civil War. And if you'll remember, in February, I read Girl in Blue, which is a historical fiction about the Civil War, and in that, the main character's story is based on a woman who actually existed, and the woman that she spies on in that book is also a woman who actually existed, and I was hoping that both of those people would be in this book, and they were. So, so basically, this book follows Rose Greenhow, Elizabeth Van Loo, Sarah Emma Edmonds, and Belle Boyd. 2 of them are Yankees, 2 of them are Confederates. And basically, it tells all 4 of their stories, but, like, the events are in chronological order. So there were some parts where I felt like it was a lot to juggle because it went between, like, 2 different ones or 3 different ones of them too often. But other than that, it was very interesting to, you know, read more, because I really like reading about the Civil War for some reason. It's a lot of fun, even though everything that it was fought over is very not fun. But yeah, if you're looking for like a good historical nonfiction about some awesome women, then that's a really good one to read. And the last thing that I finished in the first half of March is The Princess Diarist by Carrie Fisher. And this is the second of Carrie Fisher's memoirs, and I read the first one last month, and I really liked that one, and I really, really enjoyed this one as well. I think I still liked Wishful Drinking slightly more than this one, but they were both very, very good. This one is all about Star Wars and her experience in the, like, filming process of Star Wars and all this other stuff, and it was super, super interesting, and I really, really liked it, so I highly recommend it. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you have read so far this month, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!